The American middle class, the British middle class is dying. Their wealth is being sucked away and is being owned by an international super rich elite who pay no tax, while the people watching this show pay 40%, 50%, while billionaires pay nothing.
Let me ask you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. We are on Piers Morgan Uncensored today, and he's got a very interesting guest, a guy called Gary Stevenson, who I've never heard of before. Apparently, he's made a lot of money. He was a trader, apparently, but he advocates for the working class, which, of course, is a good thing. Also on the panel tonight is Dave Rubin, and at this point in the chat, in the interview, they're talking about, you know, how to fix massive income inequality in the Western world. And, you know, despite me being traditional and paleo-conservative, I agree that is a problem. But let's get into it first, and we'll talk more about it later. So here we have Piers Morgan with Gary Stevenson and Dave Rubin.
To colonize Mars, because he thinks that one day we're going to need another planet. He's probably right about that. He's got a massive brain. He's got all this cash. And rather than sit there and kind of do what you think he's doing, which is just, all right, I need to spend billions on making myself even richer, he's gone to work for the government for free as an unelected guy just trying to stop the ridiculous overspend of the government. And in the process, he's employing several 100,000 people in America, and he's a South African immigrant to America, right? It's hard to think of a more positive story, and yet, by your criteria, you would say, well, you know, sorry, but I'm not going to put words in your mouth, and I don't want to miscategorize you, but to sort of portray him as one of the bad guys, I think is probably very unfair.
I ain't here to call. I ain't never met Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I ain't never met the guy. He could be a nice. Have you met him?
I met him once last year for
Well,
a
look,
couple of
if
hours.
he wants to copy my book, I'll sign one for him. We can send it over, right? Look, listen. I'm not here to attack Elon Musk.
No, but you know my point.
I'm here to
He
protect.
can afford a copy.
I'm
He'll
here
buy
to
it.
protect my people's ability to feed and house their children, and they're losing that.
Right.
They're losing that. And listen,
but why is
listen,
that Elon
we are
Musk's
not-
fault? Because he's
I ain't saying
employing
it's Elon
hundreds
Musk's
of
fault.
thousands of
this
people.
is because wealth inequality is rapidly increasing, and wealth is being sucked out of the middle class.
I hear you, but why? But what can he do about it?
Listen, I don't expect Elon Musk to do anything. I'm not here to talk to Elon Musk. I'm here to talk to the American public and to tell them I get paid millions of pounds a year to watch your class.
So what's the answer? Give me your answer. If you're now,
It can only be taxed.
let me make you the treasurer.
With any of the things that Donald Trump's doing as per the economy, or anything that we've seen in the last month,
I don't think that they're going to work. I don't think because I am somebody who has made millions of pounds betting that growing inequality will reduce living standards, and he's cutting taxes on the rich. Listen, let me ask you a question, Mike. You've already accepted if we massively increase inequality, that can decrease living standards. If we massively decrease tax on the rich, people who make passive income of $100 million a year, do you think that would affect living standards of the middle class?
I don't know.
If they increase their ownership of wealth, if they increase their consumption of goods and services, where does it fucking come from? Listen, we have sat here in the last 5 years. We've watched the biggest ever increase in millionaire and billionaire wealth in the history of this planet, immediately followed by a collapse in living standards of the middle class, a complete collapse in the ability of ordinary people to own assets, and nobody's drawing the connection.
Gary, let me ask you a hard question. Can you point to a country in the last century where socialism has worked?
I will point to a country where taxing the rich at a fair rate led to good living standards for working people, United States, 1955.
Dave?
Well, I would say, again, in light of the fraud and criminal negligence that has been exposed, that is being exposed literally this second as we are recording this.
Now, before Dave Rubin gets into that, that was interesting what he said. This Gary guy said that a country in the last century, which had what he considered a good balance of, you know, between upper and lower class in terms of wealth, was America, 1955. Now, I believe at that particular time, there was a super high tax on high incomes, like 90% or something like that. But of course, America became a strong and powerful and wealthy country in the many decades before 1955, during which time, I mean, wealth inequality has always been a thing. There have been robber barons in the United States, famously in the early 20th century. And some regulation is necessary. And I agree that billionaires should not buy up all the assets. They shouldn't be allowed to buy 100 single-family homes, for example. They shouldn't Just like I don't think foreigners should be allowed to buy up property, or foreign companies, or just foreigners in general should be allowed to buy up, for example, the housing stock in a given country. No, the houses should be for the native population. Absolutely. So yeah, there's room to talk here for sure.
The idea that we would be going in right now and saying to certain people, you should give the government more money and the government will be a good steward of those dollars, I think is completely ridiculous.
Well, we can probably all agree about the waste, right? I mean, that's a given. But
sure, but
the principle of what Gary's talking about.
I am for everyone keeping as much of their hard-earned money as possible. Piers, my guess is you have more money than me. I don't deserve your money, and I can't have it.
I sincerely hope I do, and no, you don't.
Exactly. And I don't deserve your money either. And I think that the overall concept here, which is that somehow if we can just take from these people, it's not to say that the system
I want to be
is
clear.
perfect.
I'm not trying to take from the rich. I'm not trying to take from the rich.
But you just said you wanted to get us back to 1950s rates of tax.
I am trying to stop the redistribution. I am trying to stop the redistribution that is happening in front of our eyes. The American middle class, the British middle class is dying. Their wealth is being sucked away and is being owned by an international super rich elite who pay no tax, while the people watching this show pay 40%, 50%, while billionaires pay nothing.
Let me ask you a difficult question.
But I don't understand.
Let me ask you a difficult question.
Billionaires pay nothing.
No,
they pay all sorts of taxes.
I've got a difficult question, which is, there'll be a lot of people watching this agreeing, and obviously people disagreeing as well, but two questions. How much money have you made in your life?
Yeah.
And how much have you given away?
I'll give you an excellent answer to that. If you want to know how much money I've made in my life, it is exactly there in my book, The Trading Game.
We'll go
right here today. And you'll see it's exactly
how much is
clear.
it?
You've got to read the book.
Well, I'm not trying to read it right now.
You not read the book?
No.
Well,
my son said
stick around afterwards and
my
I'll
son's
sign you
rave
a copy
about
too.
it. But
Listen, I made a lot of money, enough to quit running a YouTube
how
channel.
much? Just give it to me straight. It's in the book, tell me.
Enough to quit, run a YouTube channel and have a family. That's enough.
Well,
30 million, 50 million?
Listen, do you have a
100?
spreadsheet?
Huh?
Do you have a spreadsheet?
No.
I don't have a fucking spreadsheet. All I know is it's enough. I can go to Nando's.
You said
when
you
I
put
want.
it in the book, though, how much it is.
Yeah, but I didn't add it all up. You read the book and add it up.
Well, how much is it?
I don't fucking know. Listen.
What, 10, 50,
Listen,
100 million?
It's enough for me to live
I'm
for the rest
just
of my
I'm
life.
not trying to trap you.
No, it's the 10, 50, 100 million. It's enough. Enough for an ordinary person to live the rest of their life.
How
and
much
support
is
a
that?
family. The number I had in my head when I went into banking, was £2 million.
2 million.
And it was enough. For me, that's enough.
You've made more than 2 million. You were Citibank's top guy.
I don't add this stuff up. For me, it's enough. I've got enough money. I've got enough to do the work that I do.
Do you give a
to
load of
tell
it away?
ordinary people.
Do you redistribute your own wealth?
That is the money that funds my YouTube channel. Listen.
Well,
Tell me this now, right?
When you sell a book, do you keep the money for the book?
If I give the money away, who does the
already.
fucking YouTube channel, Piers? Who pays you?
I'm not accusing you. I'm just asking you.
Listen.
Do you give any
Piers,
money
who
away?
pays you?
No, but
Who pays you?
No, but Gary,
Listen, you and I both know there's two ways to
The
run
reason
media,
I'm asking
okay?
you is
Look,
only because your position is that there should be more redistribution
Yeah, of
to
course there
poorer
should.
people
Of
from the
course there
rich, right?
should.
And you're a rich guy who's
Yeah.
made millions. Won't say exactly how many millions. I'll work it out when I read the book.
The viewers should also work out by reading the book.
Yeah, but you know, I don't think it's
you want
I don't
people
think
to
it's
buy the book?
unfair. I don't think it's unfair
they
to
have to
ask
pay
you.
Of course I want people
I don't think
to
it's
buy the
unfair to
book.
ask you how much you've given away.
Listen, this is the money. Who's going to pay for my kids?
What percentage?
I've
Forget
quit
how
my
much
job
money
to run a
you-
YouTube channel. That's the money that's going to send my kids to school, Piers. That's the money.
Okay, but
that's
that
gonna
does
cost my
sound
kids.
quite selfish.
Look, I've told you before, I'm not Mahatma Gandhi. I never pretended to be a good person. I was the best trader in the fucking world, one of the biggest banks in the world, and I made that money by betting the American middle class would be destroyed.
I get it.
I ain't here to be Mahatma Gandhi. I ain't Nelson Mandela like you, boss. I'm here to tell the American public what's happening.
But do you think you practice what you're preaching?
What I preach is to raise taxes and reduce the growing inequality. That's what I
let me
preach.
just-
Listen, I ain't here telling people. I didn't tell you to give your money away. I didn't tell you to give your money away.
You want the power, but you are, because you want the power of the state, which has the guns, to say to Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Mark Zuckerberg, we're going to take your money, we're just going to pick a number and decide how much to take. Do you give more than 1% of your money to charity?
I want the state.
You
to
can
protect
voluntarily
ordinary
do
people
it.
from the rich.
But,
And
but
if they don't,
do you do any of that yourself?
listen, I'm not here to tell anybody to give their money away.
Right,
I'm
because
here to tell people how to
virtue
protect their
signaling
class.
101. I mean, this is what the left
All right,
is.
listen, I'm going to go home and I'm going to bet on the collapse of the American middle class, and it's going to happen. And I'm here telling them it's going to happen.
Okay,
and I'm here telling them how
sure,
to stop
but why
it,
don't you
okay?
do that and
I ain't here
donate
pretending to be a
1%
good
of your
person.
salary?
I never said I was a good person. Read
Yeah,
the book, you can
well.
see. But I'm a good fucking economist, and I'm going to be right. And you've made your prediction that living standards will increase in the next 3 years.
Well,
and I've made my prediction that they won't. And we will see in 3 years
Well,
who's
I can't
right.
speak to
And I
what's
will
gonna
tell you right
happen here,
now,
but I
I
can
haven't
speak
been
to
wrong
what's
many
happened in
times
my
in the
country.
past. Listen, you're from my country, okay? You know people that look like me and sound like me don't get a chance to make millions of pounds betting on the economy, okay? There's a reason that I'm doing this, because I'm fucking good at it, okay? I don't need to be here. I could be on the beach in the Philippines.
I know lots of traders who come from working class backgrounds.
Who? Name one.
I know lots in the city.
Listen, I worked in Canary Wharf. A guy came. I'm from East London.
I
okay?
worked in Canary Wharf.
A guy came up to me and he said, "That's an interesting accent. Where are you from?" I fucking worked in East London. Listen, Piers, I got a lot of respect for you. Okay, you're an older man. Nowadays,
Whoa, that was brutal. That was brutal.
The City of London does not contain working class people. I've been there, Piers. I've been there. I was there 10 years ago.
Well, there are no working class people in the City of London. Come on.
There was one, I worked in Canary Wharf for 4 years. One kid come through once. His name was Tariq. I remember. The only working class kid I ever saw come through when I was there. One, Piers, in 4 years. In Canary Wharf, which is in East London.
Okay, so what I'm still trying to wrestle with. All right, look, you're perfectly entitled to do with your money what you want to do. Okay, and you haven't demanded we give ours away. Fine. Okay, I get that. But what is your answer? I mean, if you had the chance now to run the Western world economically, give me the blueprint for how we stop going down what you think is an apocalyptic path.
Tax work less, tax wealth more. Simple as that. You can't have ordinary working people paying 40-50% while billionaires pay 5%.
But ordinary working people don't. But you mean the middle class, though? That's not working class. Working class
people pay 30, 40, 50% once you include everything. Once you include their VAT, once you include their income taxes, they do. They do. Once you include their health taxes,
What would
it's
you be for a flat tax? Pick whatever the number is, 12% on
No, because it won't work. A flat tax is still going to work. Listen.
So what would you like to see?
I know you're an American, okay? Listen, look at the history of my country, okay? For hundreds and hundreds of years, a small, tiny, super wealthy elite lived the fucking dream while ordinary people lived lives of desperate poverty, okay? That is what's going to happen to your country, and that is what's going to happen to my country if you do not protect the working class from the rich.
But that's exactly what we're doing right now. That's what Donald Trump's...
We've made our bets.
That's what Donald Trump's entire movement is all about. It's a movement of we the people. And by the way, what you said earlier, Piers, was completely right. Pre-COVID, go to Donald Trump's State of the Union speech before COVID. What does he do? He gets up there, talks about how great the economy is doing. Everyone knows
he was going to get re-elected by a landslide.
Yes, and the best part of the whole thing, he talks about lowest all-time Black and Latino unemployment, and the Congressional Black Caucus sat there like this because what they cared about really was keeping Black people as Democrats more than actually freeing them.
And one of the reasons.
So, yeah, they're sort of talking past each other here. It's interesting. I'm going to look into this Gary Stevenson guy. If you know more about him, please let me know in the comments. I do read all the comments, and I reply to a fair number. I see where he's coming from. Yes, I think that insane wealth inequality, like the kind we're seeing now, this is unprecedented, what we're seeing now. There are billionaires. There is an oligarchy forming in the West, or has formed. I think there should be limits on what they can do, absolutely. And he's for the Americans listening, this guy's quite hard to understand. But his basic message was tax, tax work less, tax wealth more. He kind of blew past it. But I would have to look in his book and see what exactly he means by that, and also what his track record is. He says he made millions of pounds betting that wealth inequality would get worse. So yes, that's a pretty safe bet, and I think that's a safe bet. It will continue getting worse, or it will continue getting bigger. The gap will continue getting bigger for sure. There will be ever increasingly stark wealth inequality in the West, or in many Western countries, such as the United States, such as the UK. But I would have to see more of what he has to say. But interesting, yeah, very interesting. I don't know why they got sidetracked on this whole how much do you give away to charity and all that. Anyway, interesting guy. I'm going to look into him more, and we'll see. Maybe we'll come back to other interviews with him. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.